Welcome to Earthschooling first grade. Today I'm going to show you how you can navigate around your first grade page and what kind of resources you have access to. Now don't worry though, the video is a little bit long, but I'm actually going to show you how to get started right away in the first 2 minutes of the video. So if you want to watch the first 2 minutes and then come back later and watch the rest, that works. First of all, we're going to go to the website and log in. This button up here is called the Member Login Logout button. Since I am already logged in, then it shows me log out. So if I click on that, it takes me to the login logout page. And that is just a general page where you can do your logging in and logging out and account details and things like that. So for the purposes of this tour, I'm going to only use the top navigation bar. You'll see once we get into the curriculum that there's a side navigation bar, but I don't want to use that because that is not accessible on all devices. The top navigation bar is accessible on all your devices. Now, as a member, you don't want to get confused about all these tabs up here. The only tab you need is the Login and Navigation tab. You can use these resources. The blog has a lot of great lessons and verses and things on it. You can look at some of these other tabs. This is the Shop tab though, so if you try to navigate through your curriculum here, you're just going to find things to buy. The third tab over, 1, 2, 3, is your login and navigation, and that is for members. So you're going to go to Earthschooling Member, Curriculum, and then you can either log in using the Family Lifetime Curriculum with High School page, the Basic Lifetime page, or the Curriculum Member page. All of those pages are going to list the curriculum first, so I'm just going to use this page to show you how to navigate, because at the top of the page it's really going to appear the same on all those pages. All those pages start with the curriculum and they're listed in order. So as you see, like I said, there's a sidebar navigation you can use if you're on your computer. I find that a lot easier to use, but if you're on a mobile device or a phone, you can only use the top bar navigation. So that's what I'm going to be using today. But once you get to this page, you can immediately go to your first grade package, and this will take you to all the icons you need to navigate through first grade. Now, the great thing about the curriculum is it's horizontally and vertically aligned for content, but also on the website. So every single curriculum page you go to will have the same organization. It doesn't matter if you're on first grade or 8th grade. Every curriculum page is going to be first the introduction, then the daily planners, then the lesson blocks, then music, teacher support, Rhythmia, member galleries, extra lessons, math problems, and then frequently asked questions. It's the same on every page. The only exception is the preschool and kindergarten pages are missing a couple of these icons because they're not that advanced yet to do things, for instance, like the lesson blocks or the math problems. So I promised you I'd get you started right away. So if you want to just do a quick start for first grade, what you're going to do is click on Daily Planners. And we have this designed so you can just open and go. You don't need to navigate through all those buttons. You don't need to look at anything else on the website. You can just open one of your daily planners and start to go. So I'm going to say that I'm starting with August, and I'm going to open that planner. Once I open this planner, I can download it. I can look at it on my tablet. I can look at it on my phone. I can look at it on my computer. I can download and print it. And so, it's very useful, and you can access this document from anywhere. You have a login information. You can access it from anywhere. And this is all you need to get started. You don't need any other file. You don't need to worry. This is just open and go. Because the way this works is it gives you a little introduction, and then it takes you down to where the lessons start. And the lessons will start with a chart, a little planner for the week. And for August, the introduction is a little bit longer, but it's not as long for all the months. And so we are going to start with our planner here. There we go. So our planner for week 1 has all of these things on it that we're going to do. And then it's very easy because everything that's on this planner, the lessons for this are immediately below the planner. So you have your verses, and you have your story with your drawing sample and everything you need to teach these lessons for week 1 of first grade. That's all you need. You don't need to open up any other documents. You don't need to, um, search around the website. You literally can just open this, print it, open it, and just go with the lessons and just start following them in order using this chart, using this planner. Now, one thing there are two things I want to mention on the planner, and these are important things. The first thing I want to mention is that if you're choosing to use the daily planners, we have organized these lessons for you. And you will not find every block in every month because we're following a method where we're just teaching one block at a time. So for instance, in this block, we're just learning some form drawing and some of the alphabet. So that's what you're going to be doing this month. Every month we also have music, and we have a nature walk theme, we have handwork, and we have, like I said, we have the music. And so these are some things that we have every month. But as far as your main lessons, sometimes people will open this and they'll say, okay, here are all the main lessons, but where's my math? Well, math is coming in another month. And so the nature of the way that you teach using Waldorf Earthschooling is that you teach in blocks. And so you focus on one or two subjects at once. You don't do all of the subjects. So that's why you won't find everything in every month. Another thing that's important to mention is that we have letters here on the side. And sometimes people get confused by the letters. There is a description up here in the introduction that explains them, but explaining them visually and verbally is sometimes more helpful. And the letters are basically a substitute for times of day. We work with public and private schools. We work with Waldorf teachers. We work with, all sorts of teachers and parents around the world. And everyone has a different schedule. Somebody may start at 7 o'clock. Somebody may start at 9. Somebody may have a time in here where they go off and do an activity and then they come back home and do their homeschooling. So these letters are meant for you to develop a rhythm in the day, but without the restriction of a time. We don't tell you you have to start at 8 o'clock and then do this at 9 o'clock and then do this at 10 o'clock. You put your own times of day in here. And if you're like me, things happen and things change. And so I actually may put different times of day in for different weeks. So one week we may be starting at 7 and then start this at 10 and then start this at 11. Another week we may start everything later. It just depends on what's happening that week. So this just gives you that flexibility while still being able to keep your rhythm. And this is all you need. So you have just gotten started right away. You didn't have to do anything else. All you had to do was pick your month and get started. And so now I'm going to show you around the rest of the first grade website. I'll show you all the support that you have that goes with all of these lessons. But keep in mind that really all you need are these lessons. And you don't need to get confused or get overwhelmed by looking over the whole website. So I'm going to go back to the main page by clicking on First Grade Curriculum Package. And I'm going to start you off with the introduction here. And the introduction is the same on every curriculum page. You will find the same kinds of items here. So every introduction page will contain a tour through Earthschooling first grade, which is what you're watching now, getting started with first grade, and first grade sample planner, first grade supply list. Now I'm going to explain this planner here is something that you would use if you're using the blocks, and we'll talk about that later. It's also something that you can just look at and get an idea of, what goes behind the planning that we did. It's just informational. It could be a guidance for you if you're using the blocks instead of our planners. A quick outline for the first grade year is something that can go with your daily planners. So you can see everything. This tells you what you're doing every month. So say you started out in August and you say, well, where's the math? I really wanted to start with math. I didn't want to start with language. Then you just scroll down and you find out where is the math, and you can switch the months around. And that's because, we work with so many different people from around the world. We have all of our lessons, our daily planners. do follow the seasons, and they have holidays and seasonal activities included, but they're not dependent on those. We actually have themes for each month and each week, so that if you don't want to follow the holiday or the season for that month, it's very easy for you just to ignore that and still get all the benefit of the lessons. And so, you can switch around the months. It's perfectly fine. We do always, recommend you start with August, just because there are some introductory things there, but you don't have to. You can just start with any month you want to. There's also this document called Getting Started with First Grade. Now, this document is not something that everybody will use. If you sort of just want a general overview of what you get in your first grade curriculum, it's a nice little document. It's like a pamphlet or brochure. It also gives you an overview of the whole entire Earthschooling package, like the teacher support package and all the other things that you could buy in addition to what you already own if you own the Earthschooling curriculum. There's also some checklists here that give you some goals to meet. And at the very end, there's some checklists here that tell you what lessons you're doing. And this is a good thing. I used to use this with our teacher, our supervising teacher, because she wanted to see what we were doing each week, or she wanted to see what we were doing. And so this gives me a checklist of what I'm doing, and it's something I can show a supervising teacher or the state if they're asking for that information. So that's what you would use that for. Then we're going to go back to our curriculum package page, and this will take you back to your main page again. And we already saw the daily planner page. This is the page I recommend for everyone to start with. And so if you're starting with the daily planners, you can always switch to the lesson blocks. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to start out, just start out at least with the daily planners, just so you can open and go and get started and get your confidence, get your rhythm. And then if you want to, you can use lesson blocks instead of the planners. This is sort of the traditional Waldorf method, and I'm going to show you this page. This is an option to you, but all of the things in these lesson blocks here are included already in the daily planners. So these are the same, they're just organized differently. The daily planners are all planned out for you. These are not. There are ways you can use them to supplement the daily planners though, if you wanted to. Say you're using the first month and you want to integrate some math with the language, you could go in here and look under math and start integrating some math. So you could use these in addition to the daily planners, or you could use them, as traditional lesson blocks and just plan your own lessons. And there is a sample planner here and a first grade supply list. And there's all the lesson blocks that you need for first grade are here. And so that is the page that you would use if you're planning. Now, the next resource we have for you is music. Now, the music is already included in your daily planners. You don't need to print out this music. You don't need to print out this page or download this page. But if you want to, if you're going through the verses, for instance, and you want to listen to the tune, then you can listen to the tune of the verses using this page. All you need to do is open up this page and click on a tune. Now, I don't recommend downloading these verses or, getting too worried about, organizing them or anything offline, because really, as you're going through your lesson, you'll look at a verse and you'll say, oh, I need a tune for that verse. You can just immediately go to this page and click on it. They're easy to find because they're in alphabetical order. And usually if there's not a tune for the verse, it will say that in the lesson. But if it doesn't say that, if you don't find it here, we don't have it. All you do is click on it and it'll play. A tisket, a tasket, a green and yellow basket. And so this is very easy to do. Like, if you have your lessons planned out, you could just open this on your phone and play it, during circle time the first couple times to get everyone used to the tune. You could listen to it beforehand You can use it in any way you want, but these are all here for you. And they also help with some of the with some of the pronunciation of the foreign language songs. So this is a very useful page here, the first grade music block page. Then we want to navigate back to our first grade curriculum package, and we'll go back here. And after the music, you will find teacher support. And you do not need to use this teacher support page if you don't want to. The reason we have all these teacher support materials on a different page is because everyone using this curriculum has different experience. Some people are actually trained Waldorf teachers that are using the curriculum. Some people are complete beginners. Some people have only used public school curriculum. Some people are teachers, some people are parents. It really just depends. And although, even people who are trained Waldorf teachers have said that, these are useful for them because it's nice to see other people's styles and what they're doing. One thing I do not recommend, though, is I don't recommend that you sort of panic and say, oh no, I need to watch all these right now, because that's not how they're meant to be used. They're meant to be used as a resource. I do recommend that you just scan this page and look at everything and sort of commit it to memory, or maybe even print out this page so that you know what you have available to yourself. Once you know what you have available, then when you run into a bump in the road, then you can come back to this page and get your help there. For instance, like I said, you can just open and go with the curriculum right now. You can open up the September curriculum, you can start with it, you can just start doing the curriculum. But say all of a sudden you get to the finger knitting project, and maybe you've never done finger knitting before, then you're going to remember, there's a finger knitting video on this page. So you go back to this page, and you can watch this video with your class, or you can watch it alone and then bring the information to your class. You just click on it, and it plays on any device.
Hey, Sunny, let's do some finger knitting. I think I even remember the story that goes with this.
So, all these videos are like that. You just open them and you go. This one has a PDF that goes with the video, but if I go to the video, it just opens like that. And you can open these on a mobile device, on a tablet, on a phone, and all you need is your login and password, and so you don't need to download these or anything.
Hi Earthschoolers, Brian Wolf here. Welcome to our Level 1 crayon drawing series.
So all of these are very useful tutorials, but like I said, you don't need to know them all at once. You don't need to watch them all before you start the curriculum. You may not even need half of them if you've done some of this before. But you could, commit. One thing we've done is we've made sure that all of these tutorials are 15 minutes or less. I think some reach into 18 minutes. But we've really tried to make them short so that you can watch them in one session. So how about, maybe watch 1 or 2 a week? Give yourself 20 minutes a week just to be inspired and see what's going on. They're very inspirational, they're very helpful. So we're going to go back to our curriculum package page again. And we've already gone through the teacher support. Now we're going to get to Rhythmia. Now the Rhythmia is something that, in your curriculum we already have the first part of the day is scheduled for verses and circle time. And this is the part of the day where you're going to put your Rhythmia in. But like I said to start out with, when you get started, when you first do your curriculum, just pick your month and open and go. Don't even worry about the Rhythmia yet. I would recommend that you start the Rhythmia maybe, into the second month of your curriculum. There's a lot of new things you're going to be doing. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. And, your Rhythmia is usually something new to most people. So this is something that I would say, after you find your rhythm and you feel comfortable, then go ahead and do your Rhythmia. And this is actually made to be very easy, and it's just wonderful. Cynthia Hoven did these for us. And you have some guidelines that you can read for yourself. I love these little introductions she did for each of the videos because they're so informative. They really give you some background on the videos, and they really help, they really help you. And so the great thing also about these videos is that they're meant to be done with the class. So Cynthia, who's in the videos, or her students who are, or colleagues who are doing this work in the videos, it's like you've brought a teacher into your classroom. So you don't have to memorize everything in this video and then do it in your classroom. No, these videos are like you're bringing that teacher into your classroom and your children are interacting with that teacher. They're just doing it from a distance. And so you can open up, you can also, if you want to, you can just memorize the video and bring it to your class. But what I love is that, you can just open this up and, start watching the video and follow along with your students. And so the video is, really nice. It tells you, what to do. It reminds you.
The most simple rod exercise that builds agility of the fingers is the so-called kui-kui.
And so see how nice that is? You can, of course, you can enlarge it. I just made it very small. But you can watch it on a tablet. You can prop up a tablet and watch it. And you can all follow along together to the video. So it's also like a little break for the teacher. It's like, in a regular Waldorf school when you bring in a Rhythmia teacher to teach the lesson. And sometimes the teacher participates or sits back and does some of her work while the Rhythmia teacher takes over. That's the same thing that happens here. It's a little break for you. You have another teacher coming in and teaching this part of the lesson. And this is something, though, like I said, I wouldn't recommend starting it until you already have your rhythm established. And then you can just stick this in before or after the verses in the morning. So I'm going to go back to the first grade page again. And on every curriculum page, like I said, they're all in the same order. After your Rhythmia, you're going to find member galleries. And your member galleries are something to inspire you. Once again, they're not required. If you never look at these member galleries, you're not going to be missing out on anything essential to the curriculum. In fact, we've actually tried to integrate a lot of illustrations into the curriculum, into the daily planners themselves. And so if you're using the daily planners, you may see some of these illustrations in the daily planners already. So this page, though, is something you might use to get some extra inspiration. We've tried with the new daily planners, since they go by the month, we are starting to include specific months. But you can look different inspiration for your lessons. Say you're doing some form drawing and you want to see what other students have done. Here are some wonderful examples from other students of what they've done. And as a teacher, I just find this so inspiring because I'm looking for my lesson, I'm planning it, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's such a great idea, or I didn't think of doing it that way, or I didn't visualize it that way. And so these are really fun to look through. You can use these in a lot of different ways. You can just some night just sit down and look through everything. You can look at them before, when you're doing your planning for the week. You can look at them right when you need them, like maybe you're in the middle of a lesson and you just get out your mobile phone and you look at some of the pictures. But like I said, you don't need this page. The only page you really need is the daily planner page. But, if you need some extra support or extra inspiration, that page is there for you. And that's what we're all about, is offering you as many resources as we can to support you. So we made things very easy by giving you these daily planners, so everything's just open and go. But we also realize that everyone needs different levels of support and has different requirements. And so that's where all these extras come in. We just want to make sure that you have all the support you will ever need. So then we go into extra lessons, and that comes after member galleries. And extra lessons are things that are, just like they say, extra lessons. Now, the lesson blocks and the daily planners contain all the lessons you need for the year. But perhaps you're in the middle of a lesson in your daily planner and you don't like the story. Maybe you want a different story. Or maybe your students are going really quickly that week for some reason and you need some extra material. Or maybe, you just want something extra, for some reason. Maybe you're doing the lessons for another year. There's so many reasons you could want extra lessons. Now the first grade extra enrichment is unique in that we actually have a lot of extra stories. We have a whole thing called First Grade Fairy Tale Supplements, which has a lot of, which has a chapter here, an index here that shows you what letters or numbers this teaches and the story it goes with. And then right below this index are the stories. So if you need a certain story that goes with a certain letter, you can use this. And this is found on the extra page. Now, like I said, Everything you need is included in the daily planner, so you don't need extra stories. But sometimes people do things out of order, or they're using, they want another story for the letter. Maybe they don't want to tell the story twice in a row. Maybe they don't like the story. You have these resources that are extra for you. You have some games for first graders because, there's different games that they can play during circle time. It's not just all about sitting there and singing a verse. This is something I like to do at the beginning of each year. It's a space clearing block where we get the classroom ready and we sort of do a wonderful space clearing on the space. Cooking with Kids shows a lot of recipes for the year. And then we have some extra verses for first grade. And then if we find anything online or somebody else finds something online that's free and that would be a useful resource for our first graders, we will include it here. So there is a wonderful video on Rhythmia and the vowels that is free online, so we've linked you here. And we have a gardening chart, beautiful gardening chart that we've included here. And then there's some stories that are online that are free. And then we have a lot of storybooks that you can use here too. So these extra lessons are very useful. Some of these I really am tempted to put on the essentials lesson page, but I know that it just gets so overwhelming because there's so much to do and plan. And I really would recommend doing the space clearing enrichment block sometime during the year. Either do it at the beginning of the year or do it sometime during the year when you're just feeling stuck and you want to take a break. And the games for first graders is a great way to supplement your circle time with some extra games if you really, need some of that. So, these free resources are really good. Then you can go back to your first grade page. And like I mentioned before, we're always adding to these pages. And if you want to donate something to one of these pages, you're welcome to. If you've written something for your own students and you want to add it to the extra page, that would be great. Then we have some math problems. And in the curriculum itself, we have everything that you need to teach the child math. We have math practice. We have, some math problems. We have some stories. And, that's everything you need is in the curriculum. But then, after you go through the math curriculum, you may want them to practice some things. And you don't want to just have to come up with these multiplication problems out of your head. You don't want to be like, what multiplication facts should I put on the board today? So we've given you a lot of online links to all of these different things you can practice. And these are intended for you just to open these up and you can copy these onto the board for your students. I actually do know some Waldorf teachers who will print out some of these worksheets for practice. It just depends on, what you want to do, how you want to use them. But these are math problems that will take you beyond the curriculum, not in knowledge, but just in practice. So you have all the practice you need for what we're teaching you. We've also included some links to other people's websites who have some really wonderful math activities. There's some Native American stories to teach math, first grade ideas and games, creative stories for first grade math, and these are all from other Waldorf teachers or other websites that they're offering for free, and we've just linked you there. So if you want to look at them, they're inspirational. You can use them. Then, after we go to after the math problems, we always end with the frequently asked questions page. Now this page is specific to first grade. So if you have any questions about first grade specifically, anything you find in your lessons, it will be on this page. So keep in mind that anything that people ask on the forum or that they email us or ask us by text, we will copy that here. So you don't have to go to the forum and search through all the questions that people have asked. Everything we have centralized here to make it easy for you. So any question anybody ever asked is put on this page. And sometimes if somebody asks a similar question, we may add it to a previous question to make the answer a little bit longer. Like these two people, they asked two different questions, but the answer is the same. So if you don't find your question answered on this page, that means that nobody has asked that question before. And that's okay. That means we'll just have another Q&A to another question to put on this page. And so some of the questions we have on this page are about math questions watercolor painting questions, pentatonic flute, form drawing block questions. We have a lot of questions on the page that are answered for you there. So you don't have to email us and wait for an answer or go to the forum and ask the question. It's really nice to just have these answers right at your fingertips. Now, keep in mind, this is your first grade frequently asked questions. You might have a general Earthschooling question or a general question, and you can always go to that general page. That general page has things about like, how do I teach a main lesson? That's a very general question. You're going to need the answers to that question from grade 1 to grade 8. There's some questions on buying supplies. What main lesson book should I use? There's a lot of different questions there. So you can use either the main page, the first grade page, or the general page. So that's basically how you use your first grade curriculum. Now, I want to go back here once more before I leave you and just remind you, these daily planners are open and go, and they're all you really need for the year. If you see anything in these planners that mentions a link outside or another book or an ebook, that's just mentioned for reasons of giving an example or giving you an idea of, somewhere maybe you can go to get extra information. And if there's an ebook referred to in any of these daily planners, you don't need it because these daily planners include everything you need for the year. But if you are looking, like I said before, for some extra material, I'm going to actually navigate back using our first grade button here. If you are looking for some extra material, like I said, you want to add in some math in with the language block or something, you would then go to the block page. And that's where you're going to find all those extra ebooks that we chat about every once in a while or that somebody else has talked about on the forum. And if you can't find an ebook, just post on the forum, I can't find this ebook, where is it? If you want me to help answer, if you want a staff member to answer, actually it's just easier to tag at Christy Burns and I can answer, or you can just post it in general and another member can answer. So we'll go back to our main page here again, and I hope you enjoyed your tour of Earthschooling first grade, and I hope you get a lot of benefit out of the extra support that we offer you, even though we have these wonderful daily planners that are just open and go and you don't need anything else. It's nice to know that you have all this extra support and where to find it. So welcome to Earthschooling first grade.